A lark and her momster are coming your way. Gonna tell it how it is, so won't you join us today? And a one, a two, a 1, 2, 3. Hi, welcome to a lark and her momster. Sorry. I will start that again. Okay, we're recording now. I'm serious now.
Are you serious?
I'm so serious.
Are you sure?
I'm Sirius Black. Sorry. Harry Potter reference.
You're so strange. You are so strange.
But I am your child, so I wonder where I get it from.
Amen.
Hi, all favorite, awesome listeners. You're all my favorite, apparently. Welcome to A Lark and Her
Momster.
Thank you for listening and tuning in to our newest episode called Femme, Moolah Mindset. So, sometimes I think of episode topics, but tonight's topic, my very intelligent, beautiful mom came up with the topic.
Yes, I came up with this topic because I went to an event last week that talks about the wealth of a woman and the history of how women think about money and investment. And it was an event that was, it's a new movement, I guess, in a way, that was created by Lauren Reed, who is the founder of Reed PR. And
shout out Reed PR.
Yeah. And Teresa Bailey, who has a company called Waddell and Associates. And they actually want women to develop healthier relationships with money.
Amen.
And I know I need that.
I need that.
Yes, you do.
Thanks so much.
So anyway, before we get started, though,
I'll tell them about the wine.
I think you should. But
Okay.
first, here.
Oh, cheers.
Cheers.
You guys, random fact, I learned that it is bad luck to cheers with water, so don't do it.
Amen.
Anyway, moving on. Today's wine, called Gemma di Lune Sparkling Moscato, is an effervescent wine with a touch of sparkles and aromas of ripe peaches, orange blossoms, and a hint of tropical fruit. It has a delicate and refreshing finish. It really does.
It does.
It's quite good, and I like the name.
I do too, and the
Gemma di
bottle's really
Lune.
pretty.
It is really pretty.
It's got a beautiful little moon, and it's all sparkly,
and it's under
blue,
$20.
like all of the wines
Like
that
all
we
of
feature.
the wines that we feature.
Because we are frugal.
Because we are learning to have a better relationship with money.
Yes, we're frugal about our wine.
There you go.
Not necessarily everything else.
No.
Yeah.
But that's why this episode is a thing.
Yeah. You haven't mentioned my hat.
Oh, it's when this airs, it won't be Halloween, but we're recording kind of in the Halloween times. I mean, to be fair, life is Halloween for me. And you. But life is always scary. But
All Hallows Eve.
My mom has her Wicked Witch's hat on tonight. She is the true momster of them all.
Yes, it makes me happy.
Should
I like my hat.
Should we cackle? Trigger warning.
Cackling all the way to the bank.
Cool. Oh, that was good.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for listening to us be awkward.
So I learned at this event that 2024 is the 50th anniversary of the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, which was signed into law in 1974. And what I find fascinating about that is I remember in 1978 that your grandmother couldn't get a credit card.
That was like only 30. I'm like, that was like only 30 years ago. It was longer than that.
Sorry.
I think I'm younger than I am. That wasn't that long ago though.
Well, it was 50 years ago. I just said 50 years ago.
It doesn't feel like it was that long ago, which is wild.
Well, 50 years is really not that long when you're my age. But
right.
When you're your age, then it is long because you're not even that age.
But I didn't know that women couldn't. To be fair, I didn't know credit cards. I guess you couldn't have a credit card in the 60s. It's, new technology. But,
well, women could have credit cards.
Oh.
Women were allowed to have a credit card or buy a house or secure educational loans, but only if their husband or their father co-signed. They were not allowed to do it on their own.
Oh man, I'd have been so screwed. Going to school?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you would have been. Well, yes.
Back in the day.
It wasn't until the 1960s that women were even allowed to have their own bank accounts. And many banks still required a man to sign off on their ability to be independent. I mean, that just seems so ludicrous. And just 60 years before the Equal Credit Opportunity Act went into place, it's just mind-boggling that in the early 1900s, women weren't allowed to own property. They weren't given the equal right for education or employment. It just, I don't know. It still freaks me out that it hasn't been that long. I'm 60-something. I won't say how old I am.
The script says 63.
Shh. And yeah. Anyway, but I think many women today still struggle around the idea of having a healthy mindset related to money. I know you do.
Thanks. To be fair, they don't teach you about money in school. And I think that's something that they should do. You know, how to handle your finances. Because math hasn't really helped me in life, but a class around healthy, like a healthy relationship with money would have helped me, or just how to handle finances. Because as soon as you graduate high school, guess what? You have all the bank's creditors sending you what I used to call free money. It's not free money.
No, it's not free money, honey. Which is why when they would come in the mail, I would take them and put them away. And only when you got the mail did you have access to them. So,
exactly.
Yeah, and you still had access to them. So we won't talk about that. Will we?
Hey, we both have debt. Debt is a thing. A lot of people do. I feel like many millennials do, but especially women.
Definitely. There was a study in 2022 by the Bank of America that showed 94% of women believe they'll be personally responsible for their finances at some point in their lives, yet only 48% were confident about their finances, and of those, only 28% felt empowered to act positively in planning for their futures. Yeah. I know planning for my future would have been something that would have been brilliant because, I'm never going to be able to retire. Mm-hmm. Or when I do, I'll just move in with you.
We'll talk about that.
Don't you want me to move in with you?
Oh, you'll have the mother-in-law suite that hopefully I can afford maybe one day.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, mind-boggling again. I keep
really
saying
is.
that. A majority of women have faith in the fact that they can manage their day-to-day budgeting, and 70% were on target with paying bills, and 53% of those actually stuck to budgets. Remember budgets?
I'm good at budgeting now.
Uh-huh.
I turned 34 and I got good at it.
Good. Proud of you. What's different is that only 44% were on target for paying down debt and saving for emergencies, and only 36% were saving for retirement, and only 27% were focused on building wealth.
I will say it's harder right now because there is an increase in everything just being more expensive.
There's definitely an increase in things being more expensive. And I think in this country, we're so focused on materialism as an identifier of who we are.
Or what is like socially acceptable in society. It's like, oh, well, are you wearing, no hate to people who wear Lululemons, but like, are you wearing the latest Lululemons? Like, no, I shop at TJ Maxx and guess what? They fit just as well. So,
Well, yeah. Well, I don't buy anything unless it's on sale
yeah.
or it's supporting a good cause.
Exactly.
Yeah. So this study did find younger women were more comfortable having open conversations about their finances. I know in my day, I never talked about my mother never talked about finances. I didn't talk about finances. It was taboo to talk about that. That was just not what a lady did. Yet men talk about it. You go to social situations and they're talking about their investments and
It's how they measure their dicks.
Yes.
Just monetarily.
Let's start measuring our boobs. Anyway. Yeah, it just, again, I think the patriarchy over the years has set a precedent that it's taken women a long time to move beyond.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not something that's easy.
It's interesting because we still see actresses struggle with this, wanting to be paid the equal rates that their male counterparts are making, or just even in the job world in general. It's really hard to find equal pay.
Well, that is definitely true. It's true in every
field.
Right. And I was reading an article this week that talked about a lot of companies are hiring white males in CEO positions, whereas there was a trend toward hiring women in those positions over the last 10 years. And it's like there's this weird reversion that's going on that's a little bit freaky.
Oh, by the way, just a little side note fact. I can't remember the percentage, but I once listened to a podcast and it was all about psychopaths and who they were and what kind of jobs they usually have. Most psychopaths are either in CEO roles. This is mostly referring to men. Are in CEO roles or like head honcho, head company roles. Also most narcissist.
Well, I think there's a lot to be said about that. And we're finding that like through the whole Me Too movement.
Right.
All of the men in high profile positions in Hollywood or in the music industry. I mean, look at what's going on right now with someone. I don't want to mention any names.
Yeah, I have no idea who you're talking about actually, so that's good. Whisper it. I didn't get it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
we can say that. Nobody cares.
Well,
we're not gonna.
Yeah.
Y'all know. If you go on Instagram, you know who we talk about.
Yeah, it's somebody in the music industry. Anywho, there was also an article in Yahoo Finance this year that showed how women hold 75% of consumer debt. And that's, again, going back to what you were saying, primarily because of pay disparities.
Well, pay disparities, and it costs money to look the way society tells us that we should look.
And women pay more for everything that they wear, their makeup, their hair. I mean, just think about what it costs to get your hairs did.
Tampons.
Everything.
Y'all,
yeah.
That's an extra like $7 that we pay every month that men don't have to pay.
Hallelujah for going through the change. I don't have to deal with that anymore. The other reason is that most single parents are single moms. So to get by, you have to sometimes put money on the credit card, or you don't have somebody else helping out, and it makes just living in a home more expensive when it's one salary versus two salaries.
Right.
So there's a snowball effect of accumulating credit card debt. Yeah.
That's wild.
I know. It is wild. Did you know that only 33% of global wealth is held by women?
I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Only 33%.
That is wild.
I know. It's scary to me. And again, it's, I think, partly because of our mindset. Who knows? I just think it's fascinating, all of the studies.
If you think about it, history was... It's so interesting because certain civilizations are very matriarchal. mostly in indigenous civilizations. But when you really go back, it's men who ruled, men who conquered, men who wanted more. Gosh, this is not a man-hating podcast, I promise, but it's just...
It's not a bashing, it's just a realization of how patriarchy and hierarchy among the male species
yes
has created this scenario and how much harder it is. That's why I appreciated going to the seminar and listening to women talk about that. It just reminded me, I'd never thought about the fact that, my mother was gone through a divorce. She was trying to get a credit card. She was trying to get her life on track. And it wasn't possible.
Right.
It was so hard. There was a point for many, many years, and I think you remember this, that at Christmas, she would always give me a bag of cotton balls.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And do you know why?
Because it was what you needed and all you could afford one year, right?
No, it was because we were struggling so much. Back in the day when you had a prescription or you went and got...
Oh, that's right. It had the cotton balls in it. Yeah.
And so we were struggling so much, and I was going through adolescence, that we would go in and take the cotton out of the medication bottles and divide them so that I could use the cotton to clean my face with.
Wow.
And so when we were in a better financial position, it made something like going and buying a bag of cotton balls meaningful. And so it was a constant reminder of how fortunate we were that we'd overcome that. And also a reminder that as women...
It's so interesting, though, that
nobody could see me do that, by the way.
No, I know.
It's a podcast, so they can't see it. I just kind of... The facial expression and my hand expression, yes.
But I will say something that I find really interesting is how a relationship with money can be traumatic, and how that can trickle down into generations. Because I know the way you spoke about money was very lack mindset because of
very much so
because of what you went through. So I have a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety around finances in general. I obviously have learned, but didn't do the best in my younger years because I didn't really understand the financial world or how to save or how to really budget and why it was so important. And as I got older, of course, I do understand, but I still find myself going, I'm broke. But honestly, that's just putting it out there that I will remain broke. And there is truth to what you say comes back to you.
Oh, quantum physics.
Right, exactly.
Definitely.
So I think something that also needs to be talked about is the fact that we need to have a better way of talking about money.
Exactly. And that's part of what they talked about at the seminar.
Yeah.
Is that women need to embrace their financial capacity and capabilities in a more positive way.
Yeah.
We need to plan differently. We need to honor things. 80% of purchases in this country are made by women. So we actually have a lot of power.
Right.
But like you said, we tend to kind of function in that lack mindset.
Yes.
And the dogs are
going up and down the stairs. I'm so sorry.
They're playing. Anyway, and when you were little, I would try to do things. You may remember that you had 3 jars. Mm-hmm. And one jar, and you were supposed to take whatever savings you had and divide that into, or allowance, take that and put it into the 3 jars, right?
I've hit my head so many times I don't remember that. I kind of remember the jars, very vaguely.
Yeah, so in one jar, it was all savings. In one jar, it was money that you could save for something fun.
Donuts! I remember because I spent it on donuts once.
Yes, that's exactly
Many times.
And then the 3rd jar was for you to save towards a purchase or like gifts or things for other people. Mm. And that lasted all of about a year.
I was too young at that point, and it was hard. And I think, we can get into it. It's It's not easy to talk about money with your kids. I mean, it should be. And they're making new strides in how...
Oh, totally.
You know, there are apps now that you can work with your kids and teach them the importance of budgeting and teach the importance of a healthy relationship with finances. But we didn't have that when I was growing up. And, you know, you try to talk to a kid who already has a lot of stuff going on in her mind about something else, and it's just going to go right over my head. You know, I already had other traumas filling my head and thinking that we lived in lack mindset and being bullied for not looking like I had money growing up. Yeah, middle school really did me in.
But the jar situation was
that was
when
when
you
I was
were
much younger. Yeah, but I was just focused.
But I would sometimes have to borrow from your jars.
I didn't care. I was more focused on the fact that my Furby would talk even without batteries. So.
I did. That Furby. That was scary.
They're making a comeback. They should not come back. Some things should be left alone.
So I do think, and I think, you know, I tried to help you budget. Like I put you on a budget, created a budget for you when you went to school in England.
Yes. I did not.
You just didn't stick to the budget.
Well, again, I had so many issues around, you know, I had friends who would go shopping and it felt embarrassing that I couldn't go. Or people were like, you should get that. Oh, no, I can't afford it. Well, just why not, you know? Because a lot of the kids that I went to school with had money.
Well, and the answer to that is, I'm just not feeling it.
Yeah,
even if you loved it.
But again, I had so much trauma that I still hadn't dealt with. I didn't really start therapy until after I graduated out of university. So I had so much that I had not dealt with, and I had such trauma around being bullied because I didn't have money. You know, I was the hand-me-down kid at school.
You never wore hand-me-downs.
I used to wear my sister's hand-me-downs all the time.
Huh?
Yeah, my sister would send me her old clothes, and I would totally wear them.
Then what did you do with all the clothes that we bought you?
I wore those too. I didn't have, but like the girls I went to school with, I won't say her name. It rhymes with banana. It doesn't really, but they would constantly show up in new outfits and go shopping on the weekends and go with their parents, and their parents would buy them new things or car. Just, you know, it's.
But you got new things. I mean, in all fairness, you were not starving. You had the trendy clothes, you had the trendy shoes. I did without a lot so that you could have all the trendy stuff.
Which,
could
by
you
the way,
have it all the time?
Provides me a lot of guilt.
Wow.
Because
you shouldn't be guilty.
Well, no, but when we hear our parents or people say things, and this is also the issue I have with I hate borrowing money. I hate borrowing money from people because I don't want to owe anybody or have anybody hold that over my head. So, and people will say, well, just, you can ask for help. It's okay to get help. And I'm like, well, what do I owe you? Or this is going to be held over my head because I do feel like you couldn't do things because you were a single mom and you had me. And not only did you have to pay for my well-being and make sure that I did well as a child and into adulthood, you had to do a lot. And so you went without a lot. And I just have guilt about that.
I'm making it up now.
Oh. That explains so much.
She said with her witchy
hat on.
her
witch's hat. God, that was such a good cackle.
Thank you.
Aubrey Plaza would be proud.
I know. Yeah, exactly. I do. I tried to give you good financial management skills. But again, if we don't have that proactive, healthy relationship with money, with wealth, with planning, with budgeting, it still comes out in a negative way.
Yes,
so
that's true.
I that was never my intention.
Right.
And I'm so thrilled that you're doing so much better around that now and starting to save and starting to kind of think and to plan, and like you have pet insurance and you know, you do things differently.
And I think about things differently, right? So like let's for an example, factor meals. They're expensive, but the amount that I pay for factor meals adds up to what I would have been paying if I kept ordering out because I don't want to cook one day.
Oh, that's true.
So it actually makes up for me not using Uber Eats or DoorDash. So now I don't have those, $10 a month things that I subscribe to and just, order 2 meals a week that cost about $100 if you really think about it. Mm-hmm. So it's thinking about those things. Like, what in the long run is this really going to add up to?
And it's healthier.
Yes, it is. It's so much healthier.
So you're eating healthier and you're managing your money healthier.
I'm a real kid. I'm a big kid now.
Yay!
I was about to say I'm a real boy. That's a quote from Shrek that didn't work in that scenario. I meant to say I'm a big kid
from
now.
Shrek.
Yes, it is. It is
yes,
from Shrek.
but it comes from Pinocchio.
Yes, but it was the Pinocchio from Shrek that said that. I will fight you for that.
But I know it is
Shrek.
the Pinocchio from Shrek.
I know my animation quotes.
Yes, but it comes from Pinocchio.
We all know. Okay, you know what? We can have this argument.
Anyway, we could talk for days and days and days about money. And it's stressful because I'm at a point where I would like to be thinking about retirement, but because of my student loan debt, I'm not in a position to think about retirement. I know I'm going to have to work for a number of years. Not that I mind working.
Right.
Not that I don't want to. It just would be nice to have a little bit of choice.
Did you just say a little bit?
A little bit of choice. A little bit of choice. Yeah, so.
No, I totally understand.
That's the Gemma de Luna talking.
I bet it is. But I do think it's important for everyone out there to, take a finance class. Ask friends. Ask, if you don't want to hear it from your parents, ask their friends. I know Suzanne taught me a lot about budgeting and money and having a healthy relationship with that as well. And we really need to start talking about it in a healthier way. So instead of saying, I'm broke, just say, I am being frugal with my money.
Right. Yeah, being frugal and I'm not in a position to purchase that today because I'm saving for something else, bigger or better or whatever.
Even if it's what you want, I'm not in the position right now. Doesn't mean I won't be in the position
tomorrow,
in a month or tomorrow or you never know. So I do think it's important to speak in a way that is not a lack mindset.
I agree, and feel free to Google and look up more about the wealth of a woman, because I think they are going to have some more information and opportunities for women to talk about finances.
Very cool.
And to connect around finances and wealth and resources in a more positive light. So
and it's cooler that it's coming from women supporting women.
Amen.
Like wanting to see each other grow and do well. And that's so special.
It really is. I walked out of that room just going,
oh, I know. You called me right after.
I know. This rocks. I love it. So, thank you so much for putting that together. Thank you for introducing us to a more positive and healthy approach.
Wait, who are we thanking?
Lauren Reed and Teresa Bailey.
Thanks, Lauren Reed and Teresa Bailey.
Did I not say that?
You did, but it was so much earlier, and I went away.
Okay.
In my mind.
Yeah. So, thank you for reminding us. If you haven't done it, celebrate the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974, because thank God they finally allowed women to have access to their own rightful bank accounts and credit cards and ability to own a home, all of those things.
Yeah, I've been so screwed, because most of us would be screwed because we're in our villain, we can do anything alone era, which we can because of the women before us who fought for us to be able to be where we are now.
Thank you.
So,
And you're welcome.
Yeah, okay. Sure are taking a lot of credit for all of that, but all right.
Not for anybody but yours. I'll take credit for yours.
Fair enough.
Okay.
But we hope you learned from this episode. We hope you laughed with this episode, and we really appreciate you listening in and tuning in. And if you like our episodes, even if you don't, you should still follow us. Please rate, review, and subscribe. Send us any cool ideas that you want to hear on the podcast, any stories you want to share as well. You can email us at larkandmomster@gmail.com. You can also find us on social media. I am at Lark and Lune on Instagram. I won't give yours because you're weird. But I think I'm also the same on TikTok. But you can find us, and you can always just Google Lark and her Momster. We will show up. We're
on
ways.
all the podcast
platforms.
Oh, we didn't talk about today. That was so much fun.
Oh!
We went last night.
Yes.
To an event at the Virgin Hotel in Nashville that was hosted by Buzzsprout.
Yes.
So shout out to all the Buzzsprout people.
Yes.
Because
especially Marshall and Kevin.
Yeah.
Who oh my gosh, I hope they don't listen to this episode because I bash men so hard.
It's all good.
Y'all are different.
Yeah,
you're the real ones. You're the ones we adore.
But it was great because we got to meet other podcasters who are local and make some connections and learn some great information.
Right.
I should say, when I say we, I mean you learned lots of information. I just drank. Anyway.
You're like, I'm going to go get food. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess I'll network then.
Yeah, you did a great job.
Thank you. Yeah, hopefully we'll have a very special guest one of these days.
We've got a couple of guests coming up in the not too distant future. Yeah, so super excited. And again, thank you guys for listening.
Yeah, rate, review, and subscribe.
Awesome.
Over and out. And we're over and we're out and we're gonna make a shout, and I'm stopping.